Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us today for our LEA Special Education Point of Contact monthly webinar. We will get started in a few minutes. We want to wait for additional folks to join us. While you're waiting, please feel free to download today's session. It's a PDF of the PowerPoint in the handout section where you can find in the dashboard or the toolbar for GoToWebinar. All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Karen Morgan Donaldson, and I'm the manager of IDEA Monitoring and Compliance here at OSSE. I'm stepping in for LaShonda Wilson today. We have our agenda here. We have a bunch of updates for you. We will begin with policy reminders and updates. We'll also move into any of our monitoring updates that we have. We have some updates from teaching and learning, transportation, and then of course our PowerSchool special programs updates. And then we will finish it off with some reminders and announcements. Before I move forward, I just want to do a quick sound check. Could you please let me know if you can hear me by putting a thumbs up or yes in the chat? I would appreciate it. Okay. Okay, great. All right, everybody, let's see. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and hand the mic over to, oops, sorry, policies and reminders, Christy Weaver-Harris. Christy, there you go.
Good morning, everybody. Chapter 30, did you know? This is something that I'm trying to do every month where I'm going to talk about or highlight one part of Chapter 30 that you may not be aware of. Did you know that each LEA has to develop its own IEP Certificate of Completion policy by July 1, 2023? That policy needs to address minimum requirements in core subjects, community service hours, IEP goal completion, and any other relevant LEA requirements. If the LEA does not develop a policy, there's default criteria that does apply, and that is a minimum of 14 credit units, including a minimum of 2 units of English language arts, 2 units of math, 2 units of life science or physical science, and 2 units of history or social studies. It also includes satisfactory completion of community service hours as determined by the IEP team, and satisfactory completion of the student's IEP goals as determined by the IEP team. And you can see all of that in Chapter 30 in Section 3027. Next slide, please. All right, to support LEAs in developing IEP Certificate of Completion policies, OSSE will be releasing Module 4 of the Understanding Chapter 30 training series. This webinar will address Chapter 30 requirements for IEP Certificate of Completion policies, how to draft a policy that meets the needs of your LEA and your student populations, the differences between diploma and IEP certificate, considerations for determining whether a student should be on a certificate or diploma course of study, or certificate or diploma track, as you may hear it called, and then documentation and parent notice requirements. So for these trainings, we've been recording and posting them for you to access at your convenience. If you could drop in the questions box if you feel strongly about this either being a recorded webinar or a live webinar, like if you would really prefer that we host this as a live webinar, which we would then record and post on the website, or if you'd rather just be able to access it at your own convenience. And that will be coming this spring, like in the next month or so. Next slide, please. So Chapter 30 also requires LEA personnel using physical restraints to be trained and certified in the appropriate use of specific evidence-based techniques. To support LEAs and ensuring appropriate staff training in the use of physical restraints, we're hosting in-person trainings for certification in the MANT system, which is a comprehensive integrated approach to preventing, de-escalating, and intervening when the behavior of a student poses a threat of harm to themselves or others. The MANT system, we ran these in the fall too. We're going to be posting some more training dates to be held throughout the summer on the Chapter 30 resource page. Those dates have not been posted yet, but they start in April. They should be posted in the next couple of days. So new this year, if an LEA is interested in hosting in-person trainings in their school building, please shoot me an email and we can talk about available dates, and then requirements related to physical space, technology, and staff attendance, like what the vendors will need on site at your school. So just to give you an idea about dates, we would be talking anytime after April, so like May, June, July, August. The trainings are limited to a maximum of 10 attendees at a time, and that is from the MANT system itself. Like I said, there's some requirements for physical space because there's some physical movements that they need to do, some desk requirements, access to Wi-Fi. And then when we say staff attendance, we mean the requirements that apply both when you are in trainings at OSSE and in trainings through MANT system, related to not like leaving the room to take a meeting, things like that. They're not, the vendors are not able to certify you in the MANT system if you miss too much of the training. So if your LEA would be interested in hosting those trainings in your school building, please send me an email or email Monica Rizzo on my team, and we would be happy to have a conversation with you about the requirements for that and trying to see if we can find a date that would work. Next slide, please. All right, y'all, it's ESY season. As you know, ESY services are special education and related services that are provided beyond the normal school year when a student's IEP team has determined that those services are necessary for the student to receive FAPE. To prepare for summer 2023 ESY, the certification date is May 1. It's always the first Monday in May, which this year is May 1. LEAs must ensure that each student has an ESY eligibility determination. That could include holding IEP team meetings and amending IEPs if needed. LEAs must also report to OSSE your ESY service dates by entering your ESY calendars and the relevant data systems, submitting TRFs for students who are eligible for ESY-related transportation. And at the end of the summer, you're required to report attendance, or at some point during the summer, you're required to report student attendance. It's especially important for charter LEAs because ESY funding is based on per pupil attendance, and these are for students who actually are eligible for students or for ESY and attend ESY. To support LEAs in preparing for the summer ESY season, last week, OSSE emailed an ESY preparation guide to all LEA heads of school, data managers, transportation POCs, and special education POCs. That email would have come from me. So that guide is available on our website. I will drop a link in the chat for you guys in just a second. We're also going to be discussing ESY during scheduled touch points with relevant LEA points of contact. So that means last week we talked about ESY at the LEA leaders meeting. This week we're talking about it with you guys. Later today, There's a meeting or webinar about transportation. And then I think it's next week or later this month, they're also going to be talking about ESY during the data managers monthly meeting. So we're trying to get everybody on all fronts, but we're sharing the same information at each of these touch points. Next slide, please. All right, this is your annual chart going through the specific activities that each LEA must complete and the due dates associated with those tasks. So again, certification must be completed by the first Monday in May on May 1. I want you to note, as always, that some of these tasks must be completed before others. So for example, you have to complete student eligibilities and SEDS one day before you'll be able to submit a TRF in IDS. And IDS will be available for TRF submissions starting, I believe, Monday, March 20th. But again, there's a webinar about transportation immediately following this one at 10 o'clock. So make sure that you're getting your ESY calendars into eSchool Plus. You're going to want to work with your LEA data managers on that, that you're inputting calendar details into IDS, that you're finalizing eligibility and ESY transportation eligibility on all student IEPs, and then entering your ESY progress report dates. You also need to go into the SLED ESY module and input your ESY site locations, and then again, complete your TRF. Next slide. So after the certification date, there's still some things that you're going to have to do. You need to make sure that in the SLED ESY module that you are assigning students to their ESY site locations, and you need to do that at least 2 days prior to the first day of ESY for the LEA. You also need to, as ESY is ongoing and within 5 business days after ESY ends for your LEA, make sure that you have completed your documentation of student attendance in the SLED ESY module. Make sure you've completed your service trackers and your progress reports and SEDS. So again, entering your student ESY attendance is especially important for charter funding. Charters are paid on a per pupil basis according to that reported attendance. And every year we have a few LEAs who fail to submit attendance data and then email us in like October and are like, hey, where's my ESY money? Don't be that guy. Make sure that you are submitting your ESY attendance way before the first day of your next school year, okay? Because it's a lot of work for everyone to like have to reopen the system and confirm your student attendance. So make sure you're sending your ESY attendance in, and make sure you're sending your ESY attendance in before the end of your ESY period. Next slide. So OSSE has a suite of resources available to support LEAs, including that newly released 2023 ESY preparation guide, which is very similar to the previous ESY memo that we sent out. It's a little bit more information in it. The audience is a little bit more for like LEA leaders and folks who aren't as familiar with the ESY process, as I know you all are. We also have the ESY policy, the ESY FAQ, and the ESY policy bulletin. If you have any questions about ESY services, eligibility, anything like that, you can contact my team at osse.dsepolicy@dc.gov. You can also email me directly. Next slide, please. All right, and finally, if you have any questions about ESY-related activities, please contact the folks listed on this slide. This information is the same information that was given to LEA leaders last week. I want to highlight here that we continue to have special education program supports and consultation services available through Opportunity Consulting. Please take advantage of that opportunity. And that's it for me. If you have any questions, I'll be keeping an eye on the questions box and on the chat. I'm going to kick it back to Karen, and I am going to drop the link for the 2023 ESY preparation guide in the chat.
Thank you, Christy. Okay, I have a few slides for you related to monitoring and compliance. Our first slide should look familiar, but it's just a friendly reminder that we are coming up at the end of the 365-day timeline for 2 reports that are currently open in DC CATS. So reevaluation and secondary transition. If you have any questions or you're unsure of the status of your LEA's reports in DC CATS, please reach out to Deborah Melville, and her email is right here on this slide. Again, If your findings go past 365 days, that is when you go into long-standing non-compliance, and that is not something that any LEA wants, neither does the state. So please make sure if you're unsure or if you need support in this area, please reach out to Deborah Melville. We have 2 upcoming monitoring activities: secondary transition requirements, or indicator 13, and then reevaluation timeliness. Both of these monitoring activities are required for DC as part of specific conditions that the Department of Education put DC under, because we have historically shown low compliance in these areas. So beginning April, we will be monitoring secondary transition plans and reevaluation timeliness for Q2 and Q3. Q2 and Q3, the dates are October 1st to March 30th, 2023. So what does this mean for your LEA? This means that any secondary transition plans that were or will be completed as part of a student's annual IEP could be pulled for monitoring purposes. So secondary transition is a sampling. So we pull a total of 200 files for all the secondary transition plans, from all the secondary transition plans that are written during this time period. For a reevaluation or triennial eligibility, if a reevaluation is untimely, it will be flagged. So again, if you have any questions about these monitoring activities, please reach out to your IDEA monitor, Deborah Melville. Okay, we have one update related to special education performance report. The SEPR scoring guidance is now available on OSSE's website. So this is actually the details about how you will receive points for each individual metric that is included in the framework. Also, next SEPR office hours will be held on March 30th at 10 a.m. If you have any interest in participating in this, please send me an email to RSVP and I will send you an invitation. An update on the timeline for SEPR. LEA SEPR reports will be released to LEAs this summer and subsequently released to the public this summer. So we are going to be having what we're calling a soft launch of SEPR in order to give LEAs an opportunity to review the report, validate their data before anything is made public on the website. Any questions about SEPR, feel free to reach out to me, karen.morgan-donaldson@dc.gov. Thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Anika.
Good morning, everyone. This is Anika Harris, the Director of Inclusive Practices in the Division of Teaching and Learning. And I have a couple of announcements to share. When I am finished, I promise to put registration links and links to additional resources in the chat box with the full hyperlink, so you can just click without having to copy and paste. The first announcement is our multi-tiered system of supports community of practice. So the MTSS COP it's got a couple of sessions under its belt, with more sessions to be offered monthly through June of this year. It really is catching fire, and for those of you who are LEA based and really want to improve or maintain the systems that you have, this is a great place to form community and connect with other educators on MTSS implementation, think through problems of practices, and develop and also review new MTSS resources. So the registration link, I'll pop that into the chat box. The next date is in early April. I believe it's April 4th. We'd love to have you join. If you have questions, you'll see here Angela Awaneke's email address. Please do reach out to her for support. Next slide, please. And as you may have heard last month in the SPED POC webinar, OSSE now offers dyslexia awareness trainings. It's part of DC Law 23-191, Addressing Dyslexia and Other Reading Difficulties Amendment Act of 2020. So as part of that, we are offering a 3-part dyslexia awareness course. We're encouraging all educators, strongly encouraging all educators serving grades K through 12 to take this course. It's available in our new learning management system, and those who participate and complete the modules within can earn up to 16 professional learning units, which count towards recertification of the license. So I'll also drop the link to register for that opportunity.
Thank you, Anika. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Rita Larkins, who's going to be providing transportation updates.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Karen. Good morning, everyone. My name is Rita Larkins. I'm going to be presenting some of the transportation updates that are coming your way right after this. Next slide. Okay, so just first as a reminder that transportation request enhancement training that OSSE released the new IDS tool on Tuesday, March 8th. And some of those enhancements really consist of just the ability to update individual student records, transfer students between an LEA, between a single school within LEA, and during the next year transition, and also the ability to submit the LEA and school calendar details. So that training, the upcoming trainings for this tool, or the tool that has been released, is coming up following this this webinar today. Next slide. I'm going to drop in the chat a link just to make sure that you have the registration link. As Christy mentioned, ESY is afoot. So we are planning for that, and we are hosting the ESY and Transportation Information Session. It's happening at 10 o'clock immediately following this webinar. The link that I dropped in the chat is for you to be able to register for that session. Okay, so that's it for the transportation side of the house. I'm also going to be talking about very exciting stuff, the PowerSchool special programs updates, which I know is eagerly anticipated. Next slide. So first thing I want to talk about is the trainings. So trainings are currently on the calendar and will begin in April for our LEA data administrators. So we're talking about folks that have the user type of LEA data administrator in the system. We're going to start those trainings between April 24th and May 2nd. So if you will, again, at that same link, the training registration site, you'll be able to register for those courses that are posted. And other courses will be added as the weeks go on. So please check back to that schedule for trainings for both the LEA data administrators and also special education coordinators. So the different trainings that are available for you will be posted on that site. And those topics include, so there are 3 different ones that you'll get exposure to: the basic system navigation for our data administrators and help desk folk, platform administration, and then everybody will have the report writing training. So again, go to that training registration site and register for those courses. Next slide. In anticipation of the training that is happening, we'll also be hosting a series of demos, actually 2 demos. So we're going to do a PowerSchool Special Program System Overview demo on March 29th. Again, the link is available in the chat for you to register for that demo. And we'll be doing the system overview on the 29th. And then on April 5th, there'll be a second demo, and that is strictly on reporting in PowerSchool special programs. So you'll get a little flavor of the standard reports, advanced reports, and also building list reports. So again, we encourage you to go to the training registration site so that you can see the courses being offered for PowerSchool special programs. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Rita. Okay, we're going to go ahead and wrap up today's session with some reminders and announcements. Our first reminder is about Chapter 30, and I'm going to let Christy go ahead and take this one.
Hey, everybody. As a reminder, on July 1, 2022, the new Chapter 30 special education regulations went into effect. We have a landing site with a bunch of resources related to this that includes updated eligibility worksheets, an overview of Chapter 30 training, disability categories trainings. The exclusion and restraint requirements training will be posted soon. We also have the regulations themselves are available on our local special education law and regulations page. That's it for me.
Thank you, Christy. Okay, our next two slides should look familiar. The first one is a reminder that special education law training modules are provided free to all LEAs. They are provided by LRP. If you have any questions about this resource or you would like some additional information, or potentially if you would like to set up a session with the vendor to learn how to use this resource, please reach out to me and I will connect you with the vendor. You can also reach out to them directly. This is a really good resource that we would like LEAs to be using. It can promote any capacity building with any of your staff in any of your schools. And then, of course, we have our ongoing subscription to Special Ed Connection that is also provided by LRP. If you have any questions about this, again, reach out to me. Again, the vendor can provide trainings to your staff on this resource as well. And our next update, Dawn Hilton will be providing this for you about our Early Childhood Working Group.
Good morning. Next month, the Early Childhood Working Group will continue our conversation about the early childhood referral process. This session will take a closer look at the collaborations across the district with Strong Start and early stages as it relates to our 3 to 5 year olds. Representatives from both agencies will participate in our conversation, so please join us on Wednesday, April 5th from 10 to 11:30. To register for this session, please use the link provided on the slide. If you have questions, comments, and/or topic suggestions for future sessions, you may contact me, Dawn Hilton, at the email address provided for you.
Thank you, Dawn. Okay, a couple reminders from Teaching and Learning.
Sure, I'll take it away here. Foundations of Special Education skill building opportunities are still available. And as you can see, our opportunity to take the 4 courses within the Foundations of Special Education suite of materials affords one up to 32 professional learning units, as well as opportunity to earn 2 micro-credentials. So that is great in and of itself. I can't stress enough for those who are pre-K through grade 12 educators serving in DC Public and DC Public Charter schools who currently have an active OSSE standard teaching credential. Please do consider taking the additional path, which can afford you the opportunity to obtain an endorsement in special education as soon as this summer and earn incentive pay of up to $1,500. And there's just so much support there for you to learn about the foundations, the fundamentals of serving students with disabilities, the special education praxis. We will also cover the fee for you in order to work towards getting the endorsement. I'm going to pop a link again to our info page so that you can get more information about that. If you're already in it, great. Persist and go the distance. If you know of people in your buildings who might be great candidates or think You may know someone who's interested. Please do share this opportunity. The other thing that I wanted to say is those who are participating do have an opportunity to engage with other participants through community of practice opportunity. More information about that for those who are already in the course, just all around great thing to do. So I'll go ahead and pop the link for that in the chat box right now. Thank you.
Okay, we also have a reminder about professional development bulletins. As a reminder for updates on PD offered by OSSE, subscribe to our professional development bulletins. There's two different notifications here, and there's links included. Okay, just as a quick reminder, thank you for joining us for all of these webinars. If you have missed a webinar, please go ahead and visit our webpage, LEA Special Education Points of Contact monthly webinar series. You can watch previous webinars and you can download training resources and materials. This session today will be uploaded as well. Give us a day or two and it will be up on the website. Our next webinar is Wednesday, April 12th, 2023. It will return to the normal time of 10 a.m. Thank you for being flexible with our new time so we can accommodate other divisions who need to reach you during this time period. And then we have our survey here. If you could please complete our survey. We really do take a look at this and use the information you provide to shape the content and the format of this webinar. So please take out your phones and scan the code here, and it takes 2 minutes, but we really do take a look at your feedback, especially the feedback when you actually provide comments. We really value that. So we encourage you to take a minute to do so. And thank you. That's it for today. Any questions? Feel free to put them in the questions box in the GoToWebinar toolbar, and we will go ahead and monitor that for the next couple of minutes.
All right, everybody, we got some questions here. Some questions about the certificate of completion policy requirement. This technically applies to all LEAs, but if it's not relevant for your LEA, then technically the default requirements would then apply. So if your LEA only serves students up through 8th grade, I would generally recommend that you not worry too much about having this policy in place, because then the default requirements that are in the regulations would apply for your LEA. I would also encourage everyone to check the chat. I know we kind of go back and forth between the questions box and the chat box, but in the chat, we've put a bunch of links, including to the Early Childhood Working Group, to the ESY preparation guide, information on the pathways, the Foundations of Special Education pathways, the training registration for the PowerSchool Special Programs demo. It's on March 24th. Dyslexia awareness training. There's a bunch of links in there today. So please be checking that chat for those links. Karen, we got a question about, is the SEPR report meeting going to go over what to expect to see when the report comes out? I did provide a link to the SEPR landing page, but do you have plans for that to be part of the SEPR report meeting?
Yes, we will be reviewing SEPR and all of the resources and handouts that are available, including the newly rolled out scoring guidelines.
Thanks. Someone said that they had attended the dyslexia course the dyslexia courses but had not received a certificate of completion. Please make sure that you complete the post-course survey. You won't get that certificate of completion unless you complete the survey. But if you have any questions about that, or if you need support, you can reach out to Selena Kettleson. I can drop her email in the chat if anyone needs it. Trainings for non-public staff on the new special education system. There's going to be separate sessions offered for non-public folks. We haven't scheduled those just yet, but those should be available soon. Let me know if you don't see the handout section of in your GoToWebinar. Sometimes it doesn't generate, like it's happened to me before. If you don't see that and you would like the handout, please let me know in the questions and I will email it to you at the conclusion of the webinar. All right, we've gotten some requests for links. I'm going to post those in the chat before we conclude today, including the website for the previous recorded webinars, because, oh, the links don't work on the PDF again. Okay, we'll check that again. And the email for Selena Kettleson. If you guys have any other questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and put those links in before we conclude. All right, I think that's all the questions. All right, Karen, I think that's everything. If you want to go ahead and close this out.
Okay, thanks everybody. Have a great day.